Um, yeah, I'm here on behalf of the defendant, Jamil Lockhart, and you're making a special appearance.
All right. Well, you got to make your special appearance to the Wayne County Jail. I told you that the last.
Uh-oh. Looks like somebody forgot to turn himself in. Hey guys, and welcome back to today's video. Today, we're heading right back into Judge Perkins' courtroom to revisit a window licker we've actually covered before. Jamil, from the family Lockhart. Last time we checked in on this guy, things didn't exactly end well for him. Judge Perkins had just ordered this absolute genius to serve 30 days in the Wayne County Jail for some painfully obvious and blatant contempt of court. Pretty straightforward, right? Well, apparently not for Jamil, because instead of doing the simple thing and turning himself in like he was told, he just didn't. He completely ignored the order and went on with his life as if the court would somehow forget about it. Fast forward to now, and reality has finally started to catch up with him. That active bench warrant has been hanging over his head, messing with pretty much every aspect of his life. He can't get a driver's license, can't really move forward with anything official, and it's becoming more and more clear that dodging the court wasn't exactly the smartest plan. So, now that the pressure is finally on and the consequences are stacking up, he's suddenly ready to cooperate and move things along. The only problem? Judge Perkins isn't playing that game. From the judge's perspective, nothing is moving forward until Jamil actually serves those 30 days that were ordered in the first place, and he's not budging an inch on that decision. So, with that little situation set up, let's jump right in and see how this all unfolds.
Yeah, so I filed a notice of removal for all of these cases because I don't believe that this court is capable of acting in an unbiased way. But I mean, there's been no response from the city, up to this point. I mean, just the last court date we had, perjury was committed. I mean, you guys put on the record that I failed to appear.
You did fail to appear when they called your name, and when the court addressed it, she responded by saying that you were Jamil of the family Lockhart, flesh and blood, living man, and attorney, in fact, for the defendant, Jamil Lockhart. In other words, she tried to present this strange distinction as if you were somehow a completely separate entity from the person the court had summoned, almost like the legal system was dealing with two different people. Because of that claim, you technically did not appear on your own behalf since you weren't acting as a licensed attorney, and you weren't recognized by the court in that capacity. But let's be honest for a second. That little word game and the attempt to dodge responsibility by using that argument isn't actually what got you into serious trouble here. Now, is it? The real issue wasn't the strange phrasing or the whole flesh and blood, living man routine. The problem was that when the court called for the defendant to appear, the defendant simply didn't show up in the way the law requires, and the court doesn't just ignore that kind of thing. From the judge's perspective, it looked like a clear failure to appear and a refusal to follow basic court procedure, which is exactly the kind of behavior that leads to contempt findings and warrants being issued. So, while the explanation might have sounded clever in the moment, it didn't actually change the situation in the eyes of the court, and that's ultimately what landed you right where you are now.
I spoke to you.
You did fail to show up to the Wayne County Jail. You were ordered to do 30 days in the Wayne County Jail. You haven't showed up. You still haven't showed up. So you're still disobeying. Let's not do this. This is how it started the last time. You're still disobeying the court's order, and you have to do 30 days. You have to present yourself to the Wayne County Jail. You have a warrant out for your arrest. And before we go over this other stuff, you got to go. You have to go to the Wayne County Jail. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I said what
I can increase the time if you can take to not be compliant.
Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting the proceedings. May I have a breakout room with this litigant, please, and thank you.
I don't know if he wants to speak to a lawyer, but he can if he needs to. He has that right to do so. You want to speak to the lawyer, Mr. Lockhart, or no?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Now, which one of you was it that said, you can lead a donkey to water, but you can't get a jackass to drink it? Oh wait, never mind, that was actually me. And honestly, it feels pretty fitting here, because sometimes the court can explain things as clearly as possible, lay everything out step by step, and even give someone multiple chances to do the right thing. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to whether that person decides to listen. The judge can point you in the right direction, show you exactly what needs to happen to move forward, and even warn you about the consequences if you don't. Yet, none of that matters if the person on the other side refuses to take the hint. So when someone ignores straightforward instructions, tries to play word games with the court, or simply refuses to follow the process that everyone else is expected to follow, it leads to situations like this, where the court has already done its part, but the person involved keeps making things harder for themselves instead of just taking the simple path that was given to them in the first place.
It's gonna go with Mr. Lockhart. So I don't know why he's still sitting here.
Well, Your
My
Honor,
man.
if the court will allow, we would like to attempt resolution of the matters that are on the docket. So I would ask if the court could stay the contempt proceedings and allow him to handle these matters.
No. It's been well over a year. No, he's gonna have to go turn himself in and we'll deal with it that way.
Your Honor, if the court could, just in the interest of justice and judicial economy, if he could resolve these matters, if he's still going to have to do the 30 days in Wayne County Jail, if at time of sentencing, it could all be wrapped up together just to not further delay his constitutional right to speedy trial.
He's delayed his rights. He's delayed his rights to a speedy trial.
And I do have a resolution, Your Honor.
No, I don't want to, I'm not even going to entertain it. That ship has sailed. We tried to give him that opportunity a long time ago. He kept being contemptuous in the court. He comes with these far out legal theories that he has that I quite frankly, don't know where he's coming from on that. No, I'm not gonna even entertain that with it.
And Your Honor, I completely understand the court's position. I completely understand if he still has to do the 30 days Wayne County Jail, but I think that he was potentially misguided, did not understand the finer points of the law, court rules, and courtroom behavior and procedure. So now that he has the assistance of counsel, which I'm not saying that he didn't have the assistance of counsel before, if the court would allow him.
We offered him counsel then. He denied the counsel. Go back and look at the video. It's got over 270-some thousand views.
I love it. I really do. I mean, when he first showed up in court, he was acting like a disrespectful little yakok, constantly pushing back and refusing to take the situation seriously. So at that point, it's hard to argue that he deserves any special breaks at all. The court gave him chances, explained things clearly, and still he decided to play games instead of just handling the situation like a normal person. That's why I actually agree with Judge Perkins on this one. If the court ordered him to serve 30 days for contempt, then that's exactly what needs to happen before anything else moves forward. It's not complicated, and it's not some unfair punishment. It's simply the consequence of ignoring the court and refusing to follow the rules that everyone else has to follow. The frustrating part is that the original issue was something incredibly simple, the kind of basic wonk that could have been wrapped up and finished a year and a half ago if he had just dealt with it properly from the start. Instead, because of the attitude, the delays, and the refusal to cooperate, The situation dragged on and snowballed into something much bigger than it ever needed to be. And now he's stuck dealing with the fallout of decisions that could have been avoided with just a little bit of common sense.
That 30 days will give him an opportunity to read up on the law, and so he can make it and understand how this process goes. So go ahead to the Wayne County Jail. You can take some. They probably have some legal books there, and we'll hear these matters when you come out. So,
Your Honor, is any of this on the record or no? Or did we?
No,
not?
no, it's not on the record because I didn't call the cases. I'm going to continue on. That appears to be Charles Gardner.
Yes. Yes.
Your Honor, am I allowed to go back in the breakout room to explain that to Mr. Lockhart? Because he seems to have had a change of heart if the court would allow him to at least.
Maybe he can go turn himself in and you can file an appeal. File something to get him heard before the court, and they can zoom in from the Wayne County Jail and we'll resolve it that way. But until he turns himself in, he's got a warrant out for his arrest. He's had this warrant out for I don't know how long. I can look back into the record, but and he's never presented himself. So he was contemptuous then. He continues to not follow or obey the court's orders. So he has to go do the time, or hire himself a lawyer to get it back in front of the court. But until we get the first matter resolved that we had, we're not going to get into the other matters.
The contempt proceedings arise out of his appearance in court. So he's still not allowed to just resolve these before he commits himself to the Wayne County Jail?
No.
And we call that the path of least advancement. Because every single time one of these so-called sovereign citizens manages to take one tiny step forward, it's like they immediately sabotage themselves right afterward. Almost as if the progress just can't stick. They'll finally get a clear explanation from the court, maybe even a chance to straighten things out, and for a brief moment it looks like things might actually move in the right direction. But then, instead of taking that opportunity and running with it, they double down on the same tired arguments, the same word games and the same misunderstandings of how the law actually works. It's like watching someone try to climb a staircase while insisting the stairs don't exist. Every step forward is quickly followed by something that drags them even further back. 1 minute, they're close to resolving the issue, and the next minute they're repeating the same routine that landed them in trouble in the first place, turning what could have been a quick fix into an endless cycle of delays, frustration, and self-inflicted setbacks that keep them stuck exactly where they started.
And that'll conclude it. I still see Mr. Lockhart here. I don't know what else to do. What else you can do for him, Mrs. Harris? He continues to disobey the court order. Just continues to do so.
Okay. Your Honor, I dare not say, I don't know. I don't think that it's an intentional. Oh, I can't say that.
Wait a minute.
I don't think, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take that back. I think he has good intentions. I think he now has a better understanding of everything that has taken place.
I don't think so, because he came in here talking about he's appearing on behalf of the person, Jameer Lockhart. So I think he's on the same path as he was that got him into this situation.
Yeah. It's funny how the apology suddenly shows up right around the moment you realize that 30 days of the finest jailhouse grits might be in your very near breakfast future. All of a sudden, the tone changes, the attitude softens, and now we're hearing about how sorry you are and how you respect the court. But that kind of apology tends to feel a little less convincing when it only appears after the consequences become unavoidable. If the remorse were truly genuine, the response would have been a lot simpler and a lot earlier. You would have turned yourself in when the judge ordered you to, accepted the penalty, and taken responsibility for what happened, instead of letting the situation drag out for months and pretending the problem would somehow disappear. The straightforward thing would have been to face it head on, do the time that was ordered, and then move on with the rest of your case. That's the kind of accountability the court expects, and honestly, it's the kind of thing that would have wrapped this whole mess up a long time ago instead of letting it spiral into the situation you're dealing with now.
And Your Honor, we've had that discussion at length in the breakout room. He understands what it would take to resolve his matters. He understands how he has to represent himself in court. And so I think he's in a position that he wants to resolve these matters. We've had the discussion. We asked for leniency and mercy from the court. I understand if the condition is that he still has to do 30 days in the Wayne County Jail, although we would ask if the court would reconsider that sentence now that he has taken the time to actually listen to advice of counsel and be made fully aware of how he should present himself in court. I know that it's his intention to resolve these matters without any further court appearances or draining any further resources or delaying the process anymore. And I know that the court doesn't want to delay the process any further. I understand his behavior is what put us in this position as of right now, but we're just hoping to resolve today if the court will allow.
I'm not moved. I gave him ample, this is a 27 plus, maybe 30 plus minute video. I gave him ample opportunity. You know, and I'm not moved.
I mean, Your Honor, in that video, I did apologize to you for, I guess,
You apologize.
Well, that's really something he should have thought about before going into court and acting like a dumb in front of a judge, because once you start pushing the court's patience like that, things tend to go downhill pretty quickly. When you decide to treat the process like a game, or try to outsmart the system with gimmicks and wordplay, you shouldn't be surprised when the judge stops being generous with second chances. And the whole excuse about having something more important going on doesn't exactly carry a lot of weight either. Because when a court orders you to appear, especially for something as serious as a contempt issue, that appearance suddenly becomes one of the most important obligations you have. Judges hear every kind of explanation imaginable, and unless it's a legitimate emergency backed by proof, it's not going to override a direct order from the court. So, the idea that some other personal matter somehow took priority over dealing with the situation he created himself just doesn't land very well. Especially when this whole mess could have been avoided if he had simply shown up, acted respectfully, and handled the matter properly the first time, instead of turning it into a drawn-out circus.
I'm not
I
moved.
apologize after the offense was, I don't know when else I would apologize.
It's not, and you still haven't showed up, and it's been over a year, and now you want me to have some sympathy for you and to resolve the matters. I have no sympathy for you at all.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to discuss. We tried to give you a fair opportunity to be heard. You keep spewing these legal theories that I've never heard of before, and I've given you an opportunity at that date to speak with the lawyer. You refuse that. You refuse all the opportunities I've given you. And you came in here another time a couple of months ago, and I told you we weren't going to hear it then. You got to go report to the Wayne County Jail.
Mm-hmm.
So you've had ample opportunity.
You'd have me go to jail
So, on behalf of Jamil Lockhart, I do understand that, and I know the court may hear this often, but he does have a family that he supports. It would be a great hardship on his family, his resources, and his sense of economy in terms of his job if he would have to submit himself to 30 days in the Wayne County.
It's always kind of funny to watch those moments, because every time one of these sovereign citizen types has to say their own name out loud in court, they suddenly look like they're under incredible pressure. Almost like the simple act of stating their name is some huge personal ordeal. You'll see the hesitation, the awkward pauses, the strange wording, anything to avoid just plainly identifying themselves the way the court expects. And the reason it looks so uncomfortable is because a lot of their whole argument depends on pretending there's some magical separation between the person and the name the court is calling. So when the judge asks them directly, it kind of puts them in a corner. If they answer normally, it undercuts the story they've been trying to tell. If they keep dodging, it just makes the situation more awkward and frustrating for everyone in the room. So, you end up with this strange moment where something that should take 2 seconds, simply saying who you are, turns into a drawn-out, uncomfortable performance that makes it obvious the strategy isn't really holding up under basic questioning, which is why it often comes across as tense, defensive, and a little bit self-defeating all at once.
Just give him the 30 days on the, he should have thought about that when I was asking him. I let him speak when I was asking him to not try to overtalk the court. Let me give him an opportunity to speak. He continued to disobey that. He should have thought about that then. There's a whole lot of people up in the penitentiary that have families that they take care of, and he's not going to the penitentiary. It's just county jail. So I'm just not moved.
Would this court consider amending it in such a way that he could only do weekends to complete his 30 days?
Yeah, he hasn't even come to done anything. I'm not inclined to do anything for Mr. Jamir Lockhart or the person of Jamir Lockhart or whatever he wants to be called or however he wants to be described himself. Jamil Lockhart.
So, Your Honor, he has the matters that are set on the docket for today. He has presented himself to the court today.
Okay, you want to take? We'll take off the warrant. We'll give him a pretrial date, and then he can go do his 30 days. And he can tell the sheriff in there that what his next court date is, and or somebody can rid him out then. City of Detroit versus Jamil Amir Lockhart, case numbers SP 1247989, counts 1, 2, and 3. State of Michigan. Now the laws just don't apply to him. State of Michigan versus Jamil Amir Lockhart, case number SX 378-29611. Appearance for the record, please.
Sherika Harris, on behalf of Jamil Lockhart, sir, could you state the name of the person that you are representing on the record, please, or that you identify, please?
So my name is Jamil.
What exactly do you think he does for a living? This is literally his job, and at this very moment he's getting paid to sit there and deal with the situation you created. Judges don't just show up for fun. They're there to run the courtroom, enforce the law, and make sure cases move forward the way they're supposed to. So, when someone turns a simple matter into a drawn-out spectacle with arguments and delays that don't actually resolve anything, it ends up wasting a lot more than just the court's time. If there's anyone worth apologizing to, it's probably the taxpayers of Michigan whose hard-earned money helps fund the entire court system in the first place. Because every extra hearing, every delay, And every unnecessary back and forth means more public resources being spent just to handle something that should have been wrapped up quickly. The courts exist to resolve real issues and keep the legal system moving, not to host endless performances where someone tries to turn basic procedures into a debate. And that's why judges tend to get pretty firm when it starts drifting in that direction.
Would allow a plea.
No. He's gonna have to go do the time.
So, sir, as we discussed, I think you would be better suited if you, one, hire an attorney, two, go to the Wayne County Jail and submit yourself so that your matters could be resolved. I understand that when you
Last
appear in
time
court, there's
I
different
checked,
attorneys.
he didn't want an attorney. And I guess you have gotten through to him a little bit. He changed it. He came in here, hearing on behalf of the person, Jameer Lockhart. And then when he asked him to state his name, he came and he indicated that he was Jameer Lockhart now. So I don't know what he, like I say.
I mean, if I could speak a little bit here. I don't know, Your Honor, I'm not a criminal. I just want to handle this, get this over with.
I didn't say you were a criminal, sir. I didn't listen.
No, I know you didn't.
I didn't say you were a criminal. As it stands now, these are allegations. So until there's an adjudication of either guilt or not guilt, that'll determine, whether you're a criminal or not. So I don't know. You got these allegations out here. So I didn't make that comment. You were a criminal.
Right. No, I'm not saying that you did. But I just want to handle this and, put this to rest. At this point, I feel like it's taken up too much of my time, too much of...
Oh, that's cute. Now that real life has completely shut you down because of your brilliant decision to eat paint chips wholesale, suddenly, it's convenient to start thinking it's okay to contract with the state and get yourself a driver's license just so you can travel like a normal person. It's almost comical how quickly priorities shift once the consequences hit hard enough to interfere with basic freedoms and everyday life. For months, or maybe even years, you ignored clear instructions, I dodged responsibilities, and played word games with the court, all while pretending nothing would catch up to you. And now that you can't do anything without the state's permission, suddenly following rules and cooperating feels like a brilliant new strategy, as if it's somehow a fresh start rather than the basic responsibility you should have embraced from the very beginning. The irony is thick. The very system you resisted for so long is now the only thing standing between you and the life you want to live. And it's the exact same system you could have worked with months ago to avoid all of this drama in the first place.
And,
No. This is what I do every day, sir. I serve the city residents of the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan and whoever comes in here. So it doesn't take up my time. This is what we do.
Yeah. So yeah, and continuing, I would just like to, get this over with, pay whatever fines need to be paid. I would like to have my license back. I can't rent a car when I travel. I would like to be able to do that. So
yeah, that's not how this is going to work. You don't get to sit back, crack open a Coke, flash a smile, and act like everything's fine now that the consequences are staring you in the face. No, you were in court, plain and simple. And being a thyak in court comes with real consequences, not just lectures or warnings. In your case, those consequences aren't abstract or theoretical. They're 30 days worth of hard, unavoidable reality. And the judge isn't about to let you skip them just because you finally decided to look serious. The courtroom isn't a place for games, ego trips, or clever wordplay. It's a place where actions have results, and if you show disrespect, ignore orders, or try to sidestep responsibility, the law will catch up with you sooner or later. So, this isn't about negotiation, charm, or hoping the problem will disappear. It's about facing exactly what you caused, serving the time assigned for it, and understanding that contempt doesn't get waved off just because you finally realize it matters.
For these
Should
civil
have thought
offenses.
about that, last year, over a year and a half ago.
Mhm. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I just want to resolve this. Whatever I owe for those offenses, I'm willing to pay, and it'll be done with this situation. I truthfully don't think it's your, mission to put people in jail that have not harmed anybody or committed any offense against, any actual live human being. I'm only guilty of speaking out of turn. And, I should have handled this differently. I can see that now, but yeah, I really just want to get this whole situation rectified, and whatever the charges are that I need to pay, I'm willing to do that. And
Oh? So now, you've suddenly discovered that you have a federal claim against the judge presiding over your statutory case, and somehow you're surprised that he's not being lenient with you. That's rich. It's almost like expecting a referee to cut you some slack in the middle of a game just because you think you're above the rules. The reality is that no matter what claim you think you have, the court isn't going to pause, wink, or let you off the hook for ignoring orders, showing contempt, or delaying proceedings with nonsense arguments. Judges deal with all kinds of claims every day, but they also expect basic respect for the process, and when that respect is absent, patience runs out fast. So, instead of expecting sympathy or flexibility, the logical consequence of your actions, 30 days in jail for contempt, remains right where it started. Because the law doesn't bend just because someone suddenly discovers a legal theory they think might excuse months of blatant disregard for the rules.
Yeah,
Well,
based on the statements.
That being said, I don't think, based on everything that has happened, our history, the claim in federal court that I have.
I've met some truly stupid people in my life, locked hard. But you, my friend, take the crown. Honestly, you've managed to outdo everyone I've ever seen, because the level of cluelessness here is next level. I mean, do you even realize that all of this is being recorded? Every word, every stumble, every ridiculous argument is on tape, and the judge could literally play that clip in court and have the whole thing thrown out in a heartbeat. Why? Because in that recording, you've essentially admitted that you're not suing him for any civil liability or damages that he may have caused. So, all of your complaints vanish the moment you try to spin them into a legal claim. Yet, even after making yourself look this transparent, you're still focused on trying to keep yourself out of jail instead of actually handling the contempt issue you created. It's like watching someone build their own trap and then argue about how it shouldn't snap shut, while the judge just stares at them shaking their head, waiting for the inevitable to play out exactly as it was supposed to.
You have a duty to recuse yourself from any of my cases.
I haven't been privy to any judicial tenure complaint. My first duty is the duty to sit, and I feel
did
that I
put it in your mailbox.
Okay, well, all right. Well, the Judicial Tenure Commission will have to come, and I'll have to respond to them accordingly if they present something to me.
Okay.
All right. Have a great day, sir. Next court date, 9/22. You're still expected to turn yourself into the Wayne County Jail.
Well, Your Honor, I would ask one final argument. I understand that he may have indicated he did not want an attorney to represent him. Jail time is a very harsh penalty. And I know that the court didn't just immediately come to that decision. I would ask if the court would consider some of the things that were stated on the record in terms of he now has a better understanding. He is remorseful of how things played out. And I would ask if the court would issue a monetary fine for the contempt rather than jail. If the court would, please.
And he's got a proceeding in federal court against him. So where is it, you know, where's this,
I'm simply trying to protect.
Your Honor, but again, Your Honor, Mr. Lockhart, on behalf of Mr. Lockhart, stop. What I'm saying, the court has to understand the fact that a lot of these things came into play before today. So if in fact there was something filed, it was before today, before having a better understanding of how the process works, how to conduct oneself in court, and that one is held to the same standards as an attorney. I would ask if the court would consider converting that jail term into a monetary fine.
Not at this point. At this point.
Your Honor, I only have a federal claim against you as a means to try to keep myself out.
What exactly do you think he does for a living? This is literally his job, and at this very moment he's getting paid to sit there and deal with the situation you created. Judges don't just show up for fun. They're there to run the courtroom, enforce the law, and make sure cases move forward the way they're supposed to. So, when someone turns a simple matter into a drawn-out spectacle with arguments and delays that don't actually resolve anything, it ends up wasting a lot more than just the court's time. If there's anyone worth apologizing to, it's probably the taxpayers of Michigan whose hard-earned money helps fund the entire court system in the first place. Because every extra hearing, every delay, and every unnecessary back and forth means more public resources being spent just to handle something that should have been wrapped up quickly. The courts exist to resolve real issues and keep the legal system moving, not to host endless performances where someone tries to turn basic procedures into a debate. And that's why judges tend to get pretty firm when it starts drifting in that direction.
It's not something that I want to do. You know,
you can take any action. You can take any action under the law that you choose to, sir. I haven't prevented you or even tried to even attempt to prevent you, and I can't prevent you from doing it.
I don't want to do that. I just want to handle this, pay whatever I need to pay, and move on.
So again, advocating on behalf of
needs to be sitting in jail. I'm an upstanding individual. I have a lot of people that depend on me. And I haven't harmed anyone, and I never would.
Understood. Thank you for that allocation. But on behalf of defense would now move to ask if the court would allow a hearing on the contempt proceedings.
That hearing has sailed. He has been gone. He has 30 days for the hearing. Procedurally, that has sailed a long time ago.
So he already had a hearing on it?
No, we asked him, offered a hearing on that. We offered him an attorney on that before we entered into found him in contempt. We offered him to speak with the lawyer on that day. He chose not to. It's been over, I would say, quite frankly, a year at least. The motion he was mentioned, he was going to file a motion by 5/27/2022. It's been a long time. Those ships have sailed.
But Your Honor, arguably he didn't have the assistance of counsel. So I would ask, did we go through all of the steps for him to waive his right to counsel in that type of proceeding?
Well, you can go back and look at the transcript. If he wants some representation now, he can either have a court-appointed a lawyer, or he can hire a lawyer on his own. But at this juncture, I'm not inclined, I get, people tell me I'm too lenient and I'm a defense judge and I try to be fair to everybody that comes through here. I gave Mr. Lockhart, and I'm giving Mr. Lockhart now, over a half hour when other people only get 5 minutes to speak. I gave him ample time today and back when he came in court the last time. And you say that he's changed, but he came into court today spewing the same stuff that he started out before he talked to you that he did when he was there. I read those motions that he filed, which was in the court's eyes had no basis in law whatsoever. None. I've never seen those legal theories that he's purporting. I don't know if you, well, let me strike that. I've seen those legal theories that he's purported, but I've never seen those in the rules of court rules. I've never seen that in any of the law books that I've ever read. So I told him this back then, that he needs to go get the rules. I gave him an opportunity to read the rules of procedure. He refused everything. Now, it's the transcript of it. You can order the transcript. He can hire his own lawyer, and he'll get whatever kind of hearing that he will get. I'm not going to recuse myself from the case.
Understood, Your Honor.
Okay?
I have nothing further.
Very well. Next court date, September 22nd, 2023, will be a pretrial. Have a very good day, sir. And again, your word to.
All right, that wraps up the video, and I really want to hear what you think. Do you honestly believe Jamil of the family Smooth Brain is finally going to turn himself in and take care of all of this like a man? Or is he going to decide that jail doesn't scare him and still show up to his September 22nd hearing? Or is he just going to throw his hands up and say, blank, all of this, blank? I'm a sovereign being with a room temperature IQ, and I'm not showing up to court until they come arrest me personally. Personally, I'm rooting for option 3. Because, let's be honest, that's the most entertaining outcome at this point. But whatever happens, I want to hear your thoughts. So, if you like the video, smash that like button. If you didn't, go ahead and hit dislike, but make sure you leave a comment below with what you think is going to happen next. And don't forget to subscribe with notifications turned on so you never miss any of my content, because there's always another ridiculous courtroom saga just around the corner. And trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next with Jamil and the gang.